Hi and welcome. In the previous section, you've tapped into Dialogflow. You've created first intents and entities. Also, you've extracted parameters, play with pre-built agents, and enable Smalltalk for commonly asked questions. In this section, we'll start building a backend app for our bot. Let's first see how architecture looks like. Okay, let's see what we'll build in this course. Here is a diagram. For our bot, we'll create a front-end app with React. This front-end app will show the bot, get input from the user, and display the response from the bot. For this, the front-end will need to communicate with backend app. React will send input to backend app API endpoint via HTTP. That is this arrow we have here. And this is the backend app. It's running Node.js. And on top of Node, we have Express module that we'll use to build the API. Therefore, API has endpoints for communication between React and backend app. So, we have now been talking about this part here. And now, when backend app needs to resolve natural language, it sends the request to Dialogflow. All this communication is done via web services, that is JSON over HTTP. Okay, this is this part here. And another thing we need is a database to store and read information to. In this course, we'll set up and use MongoDB. Okay? Let me repeat this one more time. Backend app will be running Node.js. On top of it, we'll install the Express framework. We'll build endpoints for communication with frontend. All communication will be with web services, that is JSON over HTTP. And our backend app will also be connecting to Dialogflow for parsing natural language and will be using MongoDB for storing information we get from the user. What we'll do in this section is set up backend app. First, we'll install Express and generate the app, and then we'll deploy the app to Heroku, our server of choice. And we'll also set up local server for running and developing Node.js application. Before we proceed, I want you to download Node.js and install it on your local machine. You'll find it on the page nodejs.org. Just download it and run the install. After you've installed it, you can go to your commands tool. That will be command prompt on Windows. I'm using Mac, so I'll open terminal and I'll run node-v. If Node is installed, you should see a version of Node installed. My current version is this. Yours could be different since it might be some time after I have recorded this video. It's okay. With Node, you will also install npm, that is Popular Package Manager. We'll be installing packages like Express with it, okay? Okay, great. Now you have Node installed. Let's go back to diagrams. Well, what Node is server-side JavaScript built upon Chrome's V8 engine. It's open source server environment. It's JavaScript that runs on server and it's free. And Express is a library that works in Node runtime. Express has helper functions that make writing server-side apps much easier. Okay? What I'll show you is what happens when a request comes to backend app. Here's a diagram. This is the HTTP request that comes on port 5000. This is the request from React. It comes to specific address in our app, let's say our server domain -api-items. That would be a request for item list endpoint. Yes, requests come to different part of our app. These are called routes. Therefore, ap-items is a route. I know that many of you already know all of this, but I just like to make things clear. Okay, what happens is that Node.js forwards this request to Express framework. And Express is then looking for the right route handler. That means the specific part of the code that needs to run in order to return the right response to the request. So, route handler then finds all items and passes response back to Node.js. Node.js then returns the response back to React app. Is this clear? Express has helper functions that make route handling easy. That's why we're using Express. Let's make another step forward. It's clear for items now. Root handler needs to read all items from database and return them, so that finally React can display items on page. But what about bot? When somebody comes to the page, sees the bot, and writes to the bot something like, can you help me find the best present to buy for my wife? What happens? Well, React sends this string to backend app. Node forwards request to Express. Express then finds the root handler for parsing natural language. And this root that is Z here needs to do something. What? Well, it needs to send this string to Dialogflow. Dialogflow is our service for natural language parsing. So this image here. Request is sent to Dialogflow. And this part we already know. Dialogflow passes the request to agent. Agent matches and finds the right intent and it sends back the response. Backend app receives the response, looks if there is any action needed to be taken, fulfills the action, and sends the response back to backend app. Okay? Do you now see the role of Express? This is how communication is done. React to backend app to Dialogflow and back. Are you ready to start coding? When you have Node installed, follow me to the next video. Bye bye!